The cell door clanged shut with a finality that echoed through the man's bones. 30 years earlier, when he was just 22, he heard that sound for the first time. At the time, he thought it was temporary. He thought someone would realize the mistake. He thought the truth would save him. But the years stacked up like bricks, one on top of another, until 3 decades of his life had been buried behind bars. He hadn't killed anyone. He hadn't been at the scene of the crime. But the system said otherwise. A jury believed the prosecution. Evidence that might have saved him was hidden. And so, while the world outside changed, from cassette tapes to smartphones, from payphones to social media, he sat in a cell, waiting for justice that never seemed to come. It started with a murder in a small town. A young woman's body was found, and the community demanded answers. The pressure was on. Detectives worked around the clock, but leads were thin. Then came a tip, a shaky eyewitness account pointing to him, the young man with no alibi. Fear and outrage pushed the investigation forward. The prosecution built their case on circumstantial evidence. They said he matched the description. They said he had motive. They said the science at the time proved it. But in the shadows, files sat untouched. Evidence that didn't fit their story. DNA traces that didn't match him. Witness statements that raised doubts. Instead of bringing these forward, prosecutors buried them. And so the jury delivered a verdict. Guilty. The man sat in court as the words rang out, stunned, his mother crying in the gallery, his lawyer shaking his head in disbelief. He wanted to shout, to tell them they were wrong. But the gavel came down, and the bars closed around him. Years passed. He watched fellow inmates come and go. He lost family members while trapped inside. Letters from friends grew fewer, then stopped. Birthdays blurred together. Holidays vanished into routine. Hope was a dangerous thing, but he held on to it anyway. Somewhere inside, he knew the truth would surface. Decades later, technology caught up to the case. DNA evidence was re-examined with methods unavailable in the 1980s. The results were clear. The crime scene DNA wasn't his. It belonged to someone else entirely. Suddenly, everything prosecutors had once claimed unraveled. A team of lawyers from an Innocence project took up his case. They fought tooth and nail, filing appeals, demanding the files that had been locked away. Piece by piece, the hidden evidence came to light. Witnesses recanted. Reports surfaced showing prosecutors had deliberately withheld exculpatory evidence. The foundation of the conviction crumbled. Finally, after 30 long years, the judge declared him free. Cameras flashed as he walked out of prison, his hair grayer, his shoulders heavier, but his smile trembling with relief. The world outside was strange, loud, overwhelming. He had entered as a young man, full of possibility. He left as someone who had lost half a lifetime. The question that lingered was not just about his freedom, but about accountability. If he was wrongfully convicted because prosecutors hid evidence, should they face charges? The courtroom debate reignited. This time not about him, but about those who had put him away. Critics argued that withholding evidence was more than misconduct. It was a crime. They said prosecutors had stolen 30 years of a man's life and destroyed his family, and that should carry consequences. Others defended the system, saying mistakes happen, and punishing prosecutors would open the floodgates for every conviction to be questioned. The man himself, when asked, often spoke with a quiet grace. "I can't get those years back," he said softly, "but maybe we can make sure it doesn't happen to someone else." He received compensation from the state, money that could never replace what he lost. But the prosecutors? Most of them retired, their careers untouched, their lives intact. They went home to families every night while he stared at concrete walls. And that's where the outrage grew. In the court of public opinion, people demanded more. They wanted accountability. They wanted guilt assigned not just to the system, but to the individuals who had twisted it. Were they guilty of negligence, guilty of misconduct, or guilty of something much greater? Stealing a man's freedom, knowing they had the truth buried in their files? In the end, no prosecutors faced prison time. A few lost reputations, some faced disbarment. But none endured what he endured. And so the story leaves us with a question that gnaws at the conscience. When justice fails, who pays the price? The innocent man who lost 3 decades already paid. But what about those who caused it? Were the prosecutors guilty of a crime, or simply flawed guardians of a flawed system? This is Guilty or Not,